Yo, 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 welcome to another edition of the Geeky Bros podcast. I'm your boy Tactics.
Yo, it's just starts here enjoying that prep music.
And this is Big Geek. How y'all doing today?
It's Friday.
Doing good, man. Doing
Friday
good.
the 13th.
Yeah.
Ah, ooh, that
Yeah.
explains my hell meeting earlier today.
Definitely explains my work meetings today and my computer issues.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just a quick piece of housekeeping. For those of you who are joining us for the first time or are listening to us while we're no longer live and on YouTube or on Spotify, just please do a favor to yourself, click the link, click the descriptions, and click the timestamps for the topics you want to hear. Unless you want to hear us all throughout, in which case, you want them. So, might as well jump right into it. This has been, for the last week or so, pretty big on the online scene in terms of speculation, enjoyment, don't give a fuck, which I think that would actually fit all three of us quite well, regarding the new Ant-Man trailer. So the Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania trailer dropped, and it was a much longer trailer with a lot more content than I've seen before. Before I go into what I thought about the trailer, I'm gonna go to my bro who is a little exhausted from and to be fair, Phase 4 definitely caused a lot of fatigue for a lot of people, so he's not unwarranted. But like I want to hear from you, man. What did you think of the Quantumania trailer? Did you even watch the Quantumania trailer actually?
Yes, I did watch the trailer. And I have to say, now that phase 4 is over, I'm relieved because this trailer has reignited my excitement slightly for
Okay.
what's to come. I
Like a
really
little
did.
candle. Like a little candle.
Yeah, yeah, it's like a little slight little spark. You know what I mean? Give it time. I gotta wait and see what other movies are on the agenda that are coming out in terms of the trailer. But yeah, this trailer was interesting. I really did enjoy this. And as I was watching it, I was like, because they set it up in a way where Scott Lang, this could be his final his demise, where he meets his final breath kind of thing, right? And I was like, oh no, but this is the second movie. But then I was like, no, wait, this is the third movie. So I'm like, oh snap, okay, so this could be it for him, which is a little bit more exciting now. So
That sounded callous. Oh, he's
I
gonna be
no,
gone. Let's
Go
go.
die!
I didn't mean it to come off malicious or anything, but I just mean like the stakes the stakes are a little bit the stakes are
Mm.
raised because like now nobody because usually when it comes to trilogies, like it gets to the point where like you feel like nobody is safe, and at any point that like they could just end it there because like all the other OG Avengers are pretty much done. Although there is a rumor that Robert Downey Jr. might be coming back in Secret Wars or whatever, which
But frankly, like there are rumors that literally anyone who has ever been in any Marvel related property is coming back for Secret Wars. Like I
and I don't
expected
know
this.
how I feel. I mean, I kind of expected that, but I don't know how I feel about like. Let me ask you this before I finish with my point about the trailer. Do you think that cheapens the impact that Endgame had if everybody comes back, especially Tony Stark? Because I know that they often do that a lot in comic books, but in the movies, it really hits different when you see because like Tony's the one who kind of paved the way and started this whole thing, and then to have him die, like you felt that. Like
It
I,
depends
I
on
I
how they
think
do
every
it.
grown man had shed a tear in that moment, and then to have him come back, I mean, unless they do it where it's like an alternate reality, Tony,
That's
then
what it's gonna
That's
maybe.
be.
how they're going to do it. This is going to be variant upon variants, like just like clashing upon each other.
Yeah.
But then again, do you feel like it's still like even still, do you think it cheapens it because it's like
It's how they
unless
do
he's
it. It really
vastly
depends.
different because then it's like then do we really ever like are we really like anytime anyone dies from this point on, I don't think anyone's gonna really be all that, you know, hit by it because it's like, oh, they can just bring him back. I mean, look at Logan with Wolverine.
I
Now
would say
I'll
it's
never see death again in my life.
I would just say that like it really depends on how they do Secret Wars. Because frankly, in Secret Wars, literally everyone could die again and just like be like, oh well, the multiverse. So it like it's too early to tell. Like it's basically saying like someone saying, yo, would you think that if you get all the Spider-Mans together in one movie, would it cheapen the film? And like we didn't know how that movie was gonna go out.
That's different though. None of those Spider-Men died.
True.
I have a thought on this though, which is like, I don't think it's gonna be Tony Stark, the same one, first of all, comes back. And second of all, being a different variant, I don't think it's gonna be he's gonna come back and then he's gonna be, oh, here he is for another 5 movies, and he's a core member of the Avengers. I think it's gonna be like, yo, I need an assist, and somebody like Scott Lang or somebody else who has a connection to him, or even someone younger who's never met Tony Stark but knows that they need his help, right? Ends up connecting with him to achieve something, right? And it could be interesting in that it could be like a really cocky and not humbled Tony Stark, right? I think they would do that instead of being like a weathered and whatever, because we had the whole arc of him going all the way down to like, weathered and then protecting his child, and then also yet being like happy with what leaving things behind and protecting his child. So I feel like you would just want to go like complete left and like have the fun old Tony Stark, but like what happens if that Tony Stark never had this journey and had a different journey, so he's more arrogant and more difficult to deal with, kind of thing. And then you don't really feel like you are it's like, one, he's not in the main story, and two, you're not really like, it feels enough different that when he delivers it that you're like, yeah, he ain't the same guy. Fuck him. When he leaves, you're like, we good.
To be honest, I would say that how Matt showed up in No Way Home, like he was part of the story. He did propel the story forward. He did help out, and like he did show his abilities by like catching the brick. But he was only in it for one scene, and he was kind of like a cameo, an important a necessary cameo, but nonetheless a cameo. I honestly that would be this. I feel that would be the same thing as like any of these cameos, including Tony Stark, would have.
I feel like it's just different when it's like a death versus just like a person showing up from like another series. But yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see what happens when Secret Wars is out. But yeah, just to wrap things up, I enjoyed the trailer. It looked cool. Kang looks like a badass. I'm curious to see how this all pans out, because it seems like he's like so from what I've been reading, or what a lot of fans have been saying, he's like a Thanos level threat, and it seems like this is like kind of an early introduction to him. So something's gonna be bad, end up being bad for the good guys in this. So that's kind of what has me really excited, because there are actual stakes, and I feel like I'll be at the edge of my seat while I watch this. And yeah, I'm excited.
Also, I feel bad for Paul Rudd. Like he had to get into a fist fight with Jonathan Majors.
Yes, yeah. I mean, just in general, not in the movie, like not the like cinematic part of it, just the reality of it. Yeah, it's like he's like, wait, was this while or after he was preparing for Creed 3? Because like that's important.
Yeah,
actually, that's a good point. I have no idea where this he's definitely he definitely was pretty bulked up because he did that Western movie with Idris Elba, and he was pretty pretty shredded in that one. He got bigger for Creed 3, but I think that was between I think Ant-Man was filmed between those.
So he was bulking. Got it. Yeah, that sucks.
So Darce, how about you, man? What did you think of the trailer?
Before I say my thoughts about the trailer, I'm actually going to go back on something Taxis said, because I had a good idea. So Taxis is saying like, worry about the cheapening, but I have an idea that, oh, now that I thought of it, oh my God, I hope that this happens. So, you know what I would like when if Tony Stark has a cameo in Secret Wars, and who goes to meet him? Spider-Man. He goes for
Ooh.
him for help, and he gets and Spider-Man, after whatever period of time, whatever trials we see him go through, and the fact that he's like, lost memories of people, and he's alone, and he didn't get to say certain things or feel certain things with Tony Stark, and it's like a full circle. Like after he has more trials, it's like getting that moment to say a certain thing, or for Tony to say something to him that isn't from that version of Tony, like that could have said those, like the real feelings, but says something that gives him like resolution. There's something like that could be very interesting in that, you finish something off for the character who's your current character by him meeting a variant. Go on.
I would feel sad if like he didn't remember him because he doesn't know who Spider-Man is.
Yeah, well, I mean, if it's a completely different variant from a completely different universe, they might not have a Spider-Man, or they haven't met yet, or whatever. It's more like, I don't know, just running into an important person and the emotional weight it has on Peter, right? Um, Going into what I think about this, it's funny to say, like, I'm most excited about this movie because of Jonathan Majors, which I feel like I'm slighting the whole cast.
No, man, like you are pretty much what the online communities, well, the online geeky community is saying. Everyone fucking wants to see Kang.
It's funny because this guy's had episode, one episode in the entire universe, and yet it's like, yeah, I'm all in for this dude. I mean, it's your film, Paul, but like, I'm not watching it for you.
You could say that about Thanos too in Infinity War.
Yeah, that's fair. But I mean, at that point,
Yeah.
all the characters, I guess in this case, we've had a lot of this character too. So, yeah, but I mean, it looks good. And I like what Tactic's saying in terms of there's stakes. And that's always important. There needs to feel like there's stakes. And sometimes, when we know something is going in a certain direction, there isn't stakes. And, I mean, we still kind of feel like there probably isn't stakes at some point, but it still feels like there's stakes. And that's all that's important.
Okay, so for you still have anything more? Yeah, okay. So for me, I'm gonna say like my geekiness is gonna come out, guys. So like I'm sorry, but I was excited to see this movie for a different reason before, because I'm like, ooh, this is gonna be cool. Like I'm happy to see Jonathan Majors like flesh out his Kang. We're finally gonna get Kang. This is gonna be good. But after watching this trailer, I'm with you guys. Like either Scott's gonna die, or he going to be stuck somewhere like by himself for the rest of like his existence, and like Cassie is going to be like, what did you do to my dad, sort of thing. Like it really does feel like Scott's going to die in this one, because he also, I'm with quite a few members of the online community who believe that that Kang is using Scott to get his because okay, I should say that I don't know much about Kang the Conqueror. I've read maybe like 3 comics, like individual comics with him in it. So like it's not a lot of information, but I do know that he has a chair that he like a time chair that he uses to fly around. I'm of the belief that Kang is going to ask Scott, or sorry, make Scott get him the chair and escape the quantum realm and become the Conqueror. And everyone's gonna blame Scott for for doing this. And he's like, "Yo, I had to save my daughter, or I give this guy his chair. Like, what do you want from me?" So with those stakes, I'm actually kind of interested. However, a part of me was a little upset that they put it in the trailer, but at the same time, I liked seeing it, but I didn't want to like seeing it because I wanted to be surprised in the movie. When Scott was getting his ass, and I'm not gonna say he was having a fight with Kang. I'm gonna say, well, he's getting his ass kicked from Kang. I was just like, whoa, they're gonna get fighting, and I'm like, oh, I actually want to see more of that. But why did they show me that? Why did they show me that? I don't want to see that. I want to see that in the movie. So like, but Marvel trailers, especially like important movies that we know are going to like be the turning point in the MCU, which this movie clearly is setting up itself to be, they lie. So I'm like, for all I know, they got Jonathan Majors for, like a weekend off the Creed. They're like, hey, we want to throw some people off, so we want you to beat up Paul Rudd. And he was like, yeah, all right.
Yar.
Paul's just like, wait, what?
What are these reshoots?
Yeah.
This wasn't in the script.
Oh my God, Maddock. So I wanted to ask you guys, what do you think of Maddock? What do you like? Do you guys know who Maddock is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Tactics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
So
from TMNT, right?
I'm I'm familiar with the character. I don't know much about him, other than he's got a big ass head.
sorry, not Maddock. I keep. Thank you, Darcy. I heard you, and it slowly got through my brain. I'm like, oh wait, I said that wrong. Yeah.
This is basically Krang outside of the stomach. Every time I see MODOK, I'm like, MODOK, Krang. Yeah. I mean, come on.
Yeah. I've never been interested in MODOK as a villain, but like whatever. The fact that they made the dude from the first Ant-Man movie into MODOK, I'm like, again, whatever. But wait, sorry. I just realized that was a spoiler, and I apologize to everyone. Sorry,
how's that a spoiler?
Well, I see. Not a lot of people probably saw that.
Yeah, I was aware of it.
Yeah, but I think that was public knowledge.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, good.
Yeah.
I feel better now.
It's in the trailer picture right behind, right there. You can make out his face.
Okay.
If you're not looking for it, but some people obviously were, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I didn't think I would be this excited for the movie, but I am. The trailer definitely helped. It's also, I'm actually really glad that Michelle Pfeiffer has more of a role in this movie as opposed to just like being like in the background. Like, it sounds like she actually she fought Kang, and got out and was like, "Yo, guys, turn that off. He'll get you." I also have a feeling, again, this is my own personal view, that Kang is definitely connected to the Ten Rings. That
yeah.
Yeah, and I think that the quantum band that Ms. Marvel has is definitely from here too. So like, clearly they're connecting the dots, and Loki, of course, is going to be a part of that. Oh man, people online have been blaming Sylvie for all this.
So hard.
Everyone's like, "Yo, you don't blame Scott Lang. You blame Lady Loki." And I'm just like,
but isn't it? It is her fault, isn't it?
Technically, like
it is. That's why.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that was obvious. I mean, who else are we going to blame for this?
Well, like people, because a lot of people are saying, "Oh, Scott's going to be the new what's his name, Star-Lord, and he's the one who lets Kang out onto everybody." And I'm like,
nah, bros, this is all Sylvie's fault. Well before Scott Lang entered the picture.
You know the problem is Scott Lang won't know that and will be blaming himself. He won't realize that his decisions are a consequence of somebody else's selfish decisions.
I am really enjoying the theories that are like being like thrown out constantly from this trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And also some of them are like going pretty like wide open into. So like I'm definitely enjoying that aspect of this trailer. That aspect of the MCU. But yeah, like I am all there for this. I mean, Paul Rudd is awesome. To be fair, I couldn't care less about the Wasp. I'm actually more interested. I'm glad that they're focusing more on Cassie, but I'm still really sad that they got rid of the original actress who played older Cassie in Endgame. Because like, yo man, she gave me a tear. I don't know who this woman is. But that's just me. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else.
Umar, but before you move on, you asked like what we think of like MODOK here, other than my Krang comment. I'm actually like, one, the fact that they fused the guy from the first movie. I don't really care who he is, and I like that he's like feels like just like a side puppet villain, right? Because like I don't like him as a big villain, but like like right now, like that picture of him in the background, he just looked like it looks like the worst Zoom call you were ever on. You know, like when they have like those, like they try to have like a fake person there and they have like the screen, right? Yeah, it looks like a bad Zoom call. But you know, Umar, who I heard is also rumored to show up in this movie. Yo, Tax, do you hear this one?
Yeah.
Mephisto. I just had to do it to you.
Actually, Mephisto has been name dropped a lot lately.
I was just making it up, but yeah, it would make sense. The thing is, like when you see a movie like this, right, where it's extremely ethereal, multiverse concepts, you know, dimensions, all that kind of stuff, it's like if you think WandaVision had theories, like this movie's gonna have theories.
Oh,
because
yeah.
it's like they basically can say like anything can happen. It's like, okay, well then every theory is plausible until you see the movie.
Yeah. Well, also since the fact that they've borderline casted Sacha Baron Cohen as Mephisto reportedly, everyone's just waiting for him to drop. And also now that like Disney doesn't care about playing in China, they're like, yo, we're gonna use the devil now. Oh, actually, did you guys hear there was a report that China is actually starting to wonder that they need to lower their restrictions because they the last year was the worst performance in the movie industry in China.
I wonder how that happened. Yeah. There's a whole other stuff going on in China right now too that I've been learning, but this ain't the podcast.
No, fair enough, fair. So, do you guys have any last comments about Ant-Man 3 before we move on?
Nah.
When's it coming out?
February 17th.
Not too far away. Cool.
Not too far away. We're like just over a month.
Yeah. Nice.
All right. Moving on to our next topic. So, as many people probably know, the Golden Globes were day before yesterday, right? They were Wednesday.
They were this week.
And so they the Golden Globe has had a bit of a rough patch the last couple of years, mostly because it was considered, well, not just considered, it was super hella racist. So as a result, it kind of did a rebrand and attempted to be more diversified.
Woke up.
Sorry?
They tried to woke up.
Yes. And one of those very on-the-nose attempts was having Gerard Carmichael be the host. And he kind of made that very clear in his opening joke monologue. Anyway, so a lot of things did happen at the Golden Globes that made a lot of people happy. Chief among us, Angela Bassett, won for Queen Ramona in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Exactly. But also Michelle Williams. So not Michelle Williams. Oh my God, I've been watching that. Yeah, Michelle Yeoh. Like I just Abbott Elementary. Do you guys watch that video from Abbott Elementary?
No.
Basically, there's this character who she always confuses black actors with white names, and so she's always talking. So it's like she keeps making those mistakes constantly.
Oh yeah, I saw the clip of that. Yeah, where they're just let it go.
Did that right now.
Yeah, you did. You were thinking about it, and then you actually did what you were thinking about.
Yeah, I was like, don't do it. There it is. I did it.
Now you just confused. What was it, like black with Asian? I feel like, damn.
Yeah. No, sorry, Michelle Williams. Yeah. Black with Asian. Anyway, so I'm all over the place. So anyway, sorry, Michelle Yeoh and Ki Hu Kwan both won for their starring roles in Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, which I still think is like possibly the best movie of the year. And so, yeah, and I would say that I do not know how to pronounce his name, and I really hope I'm not butchering it, but Ki Hu Kwan gave a very impassioned speech about Asian American representation in film, which has literally gone viral. And Michelle Yeoh and quite a few other people who won, I think it was like Michelle Yeoh, Colin Farrell, and a couple other people. They just like someone was like playing music to get them off the stage, and they all were like, "Shut up." And
I
Michelle
could
Yeoh straight
beat
up
you
said,
up.
"I'll." Yeah, yeah, she said, "I'll
That
beat
was the
you up."
greatest.
So for me personally, like I watched clips of the Golden Globes. I didn't watch the whole thing, but like I was very pleased with a lot of the wins. But I wanted to hear what you guys thought. So like, Darcy, let's start with you, man. Like out of all the highlights of the Golden Globes, which ones kind of like stuck out to you the most?
The ones that ended up on TikTok, those are the ones that stood out to me the most. Like you, I don't really watch these shows. I just see the clips, and if they go viral, that's how I know about them. But one thing that's come out of this is actually this inspired me to buy a movie today because Michelle Yeoh's win, and then I watched Actors on Actors with Ki Won as well. I'm saying that correctly, and as well as like it was with Adam Sandler, Brendan Fraser, a couple other people, and just watching, you know, like that the conversation really made me go, yeah, I really I've been meaning to watch. What's it called again? The movie that they did. Everything. Go ahead.
Everything, everywhere, all at once.
Yeah, so I went on Apple TV today and bought it, so I have access to it, so I can watch it wherever I want. But I haven't watched it yet. I was gonna wait to see if my partner wanted to watch it with me, kind of a thing, before I, go ahead and watch it. And then she's like mad at me because I didn't ask. So, you know, plus I mean, like Asian representation. My partner's Asian. I think I should at least ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have these in person. But yeah, no, I'm excited to see that movie. And I like that, diversity is being represented and that people are winning. And from what I hear, these are people who deserve to win. I didn't watch the rest of it. I hope it wasn't so woke that it was like, they just like handing out awards like Skittles to people, like, run down the aisles, finding minorities and be like, we have a participation ribbon, like.
From what I've heard, like it was stiff competition for each category. So like whoever won was like, it's not like someone was just getting it because they were, of an ethnicity. It was like, I mean, I see it.
Yeah. One thing I really liked from this when Michelle Yeoh won is Jamie Lee Curtis. Curtis,
that was dope.
I really like her because ever since, like, I don't know enough about her, but she is a woman who I've, from one comment she made on a Comic-Con panel or some kind of like TV movie panel type thing. She made one comment at one point that has so much utter respect for me that I really want to know like what she does in her personal time, because someone said they were just asking a panel of movie stars, like, if you could be anybody from any anime ever, who would you be? And she like, no, like on a pin drop, ready to go. She's like, Nico Robin from One Piece. And I was like, yo, this woman watch One Piece? This woman watch One Piece? Who is this woman behind the camera? I needs to know.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, she said Nico Robin. And I'm like, when she said that, like, I'm the only one of the three of us here who's really watched this show, to know Nico Robin, I've just got through the best part of her arc and her backstory. Oh my God, tears, motherfuckers, tears. But Nico Robin is like in anime like lore, like the sexiest woman who is also the most stoic and smart woman and like badass, and then like surprises you. And we're like, I'm in an arc right now where they're like in like a haunted mansion basically, and she just kind of like, oh, this is interesting, and she's like not afraid of the ghosts at all. She's just like, oh, interesting. Like, she's just totally different. And now I'm like, I see Jamie Lee Curtis and she's like, she wants to be that. I'm like, oh, I like you a lot. So it's just totally random there, but yeah, I just love seeing her support Michelle Yeoh.
That was great. Yeah.
And but yeah, I mean, the Golden Globes, I'm glad to see like good. We've had good films. They're being recognized, and they're not just handing them out to the whitest person on the list. So.
How about you, T? Any thoughts on the Golden Globes?
Yeah, same as Darcy. Like I don't watch the Golden Globes, I don't watch the Oscars, the Grammys, none of those shows. So um all the news I heard was basically whatever you guys posted in the WhatsApp chat or anything that I came across on on TikTok. So definitely, obviously, as I pointed out in our group chat, the Eddie Murphy's three rules to live by statement that was great. It's always good to see Eddie kind of come return back to form and deliver some solid comedy. Um, I really appreciated the representation that happened for the awards, especially with I forget his I can't pronounce his name. Kiwan
Kiwan Kwan. Like we're
Kwan.
probably
Yeah,
butchering the name, but like at the same time, like I hear you.
yeah. But just here, like I don't know much about his journey throughout Hollywood, but just seeing the amount, or just hearing from his speech, the amount of struggle that he had to like go through just to get the recognition that he's getting right now is really sad, because I mean the dude's like what, like he's in his 50s now, and like we haven't really seen him in a lot of things. And to make matters, well, not worse, because it ended up working out for him, but I heard that originally the role that he played in Everything Everywhere all at once was originally supposed to be for Jackie Chan, and Jackie Chan turned it down, and so they ended up giving the
Good.
role to Key. So I'm just glad that he is finally getting recognition for it, because he bodied that role. Like that role was
He
like the
killed
way
it.
he played it. Like yeah, it was amazing. Just good to see him again, because I first of all I didn't realize that he was in a small part in Encino Man, and that's like one of my, well, not guilty pleasures. I don't believe in guilty pleasures, but it's like one of my favorite movies from like the 90s. And I didn't realize that he was in that. But like that's like the last thing I remember ever seeing him in. So it was just good to see him show up in movies again. So yeah, I was happy to see that. Regina Hall killed it. With the, I know there's
What?
some
Okay,
mixed.
what was that? Like she was accepting an award for Kevin Costner, but she was like making fun of him.
I love her, man. So no, so what ended up happening was she was reading the teleprompter, and basically Kevin Costner had won some award for his show Yellowstone, but
Right.
he couldn't make it, and he had told the awards ceremony, the award organization ahead of time, that he was stuck in Missouri or something like that, or wherever it was. But they, because they were dealing with like a hurricane or whatever, so they were like half of the town was like flooded. And so as she's reading that, she didn't know that that was the reason why he had to miss the ceremony. And the way that they worded the teleprompter was like, it was the way they worded it was really weird. And so she read it and she was like laughing at that, and then continued being like, oh yeah, I'm sure he really wanted to be here. And then she continued reading, and it's like, oh shit, he's actually, the reason why he's not here is because it's a serious matter, like he's actually stranded. But like by that point she had already dug herself like a too deep of a hole, so she just doubled down on it and kept laughing. And yeah, it was, I thought it was funny. I didn't take it as malicious, but I know some people are like, oh, that
Oh
was
yeah,
so in poor taste and whatever. But
yeah.
Well, you know the
I
people who think it's
understood
in
what
poor
happened.
taste. You know the people
Yeah,
who think it's in poor taste. But yeah,
100%.
I just watched the clip while you're talking about it. Yeah, no. I mean, first of all, I love Regina Hall. Like,
Yeah,
she
I
is
love
like,
her, man.
she's hilarious and sexy at the same time. Like, it's a rare
Yeah,
combination.
100%.
Um, I was actually really happy for Quinta Brunson and all the people from Abbott Elementary. Like I've been low key obsessed with Abbott Elementary since it came out last year, and I've been trying to literally get everyone to watch it. But yeah,
I've
that
been
like
meaning
I
to check
really
it out. I
enjoyed.
keep seeing it pop up on TikTok, but
It's
yeah, I
the,
haven't.
the thing is, it's really like it's not a laugh out loud
Mhm.
show. It's more like it tickles your brain and makes you chuckle constantly.
Mm.
Like I'm like laughing technically speaking throughout the thing, but I'm not like I'm like,
Mm.
and it's just like one thing after another, one thing after another. So like I'm really enjoying it. And also they like in the latest episode, Orlando Jones showed up, and I was like, my man, I haven't seen him in a while. But
Mhm.
oh, what was I gonna say? Yeah, I was really glad that like they're getting recognition. I have to say, like, I know you guys have. Actually, wait, Darcy, have you started watching House of the Dragon?
Nah, nigga, I ain't gonna watch that stuff.
Yeah,
Not gonna happen. Like anytime soon. I have like thoroughly checked out of like anything Game of Thrones, and I'm not a heavy Lord of the Rings person. So like these two shows were just like, y'all can miss me with that.
You watched the first series though, like you watched Game of Thrones, right?
Oh yeah. And I saw how
heard...
that ended.
Okay.
And I've not been intrigued to come back.
So I will say that I was on your page when this show came out. Is like they were saying, oh, the guy from Rampage is doing it. I was like, the big monkey rock movie, and I'm like, they're adapting a family civil war for a crown in the Game of Thrones world with dragons, and they got the dude from Rampage.
It doesn't mean that's what he's good for. It just means that what he earned money at.
So I was like, I'm not going to watch this show at all. And then the show started, and like everyone was saying, "Oh my god, like HBO, so it's back, blah 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 blah." But I'm like, nah, man, I'm not falling for this. But like literally, all the important people in my life, like, was like, listen, you need to give this a try. Now, this is not me saying, Darcy, you need to check it out. Honestly, man, take your time or don't watch it.
Are you done the season?
I finished the season.
All right, we talk later.
Okay, yeah. Because like, and the thing is, I waited until the season was over, and then like everyone was like, Umar, honestly, we finished the season. It's good. I'm like, but like, how good is it? And then they all like sat me down and like made me watch it. I was like, Jesus Christ. Anyway,
you know what might happen with though? It's like I might abstain until the show is done because I'm like,
that was my plan. That was my plan. I was gonna binge watch the 4 or 5 seasons, so like I didn't have to like worry about the ending like fucking me over like it did.
Exactly. Like yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's completely different people, with my understanding, right? Than who wrote the last one. So it's not likely to renew the exact same decisions.
Yes.
But that's a risk. That is a risk with Game of Thrones.
Yeah. So like, the reason why I bring this up is because House of the Dragon kind of had some drama with its creators, which I found out about after I started watching it. I was like, great. So I just started watching it, and all this drama has happened, and like one of the main creators has like pieced out from the series. Turns out he wanted to get his wife to be in the show, and like HBO was like, no, and so he's like, then I leave, and so he just straight up left. And they were like, I think we're in the process of negotiating with him. He's like, no, you said no. If my wife's not in it, I'm not here. So he went to the Golden Globes with 2 of the actors. That's it, because they didn't think anyone was going to like nominate, because like they only got nominated for like I think like a couple things, so they didn't expect to win at all. And it was obvious because when they won, they only had 3 for like best drama series. They only had 3 people of the entire cast show up, and they weren't even like one of them wasn't even fully dressed like properly. He was just like, he had like a button down without like it like suited up. And also one of the actresses was so drunk she had to hold on to her co-star because she was like, woo. I was laughing that entire speech. Like I was like, oh, I gotta watch this. So get my popcorn. I'm like, so Courtney says, House of the Dragon so far is better than Game of Thrones, and I'll die on that hill. I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you. There are some really fundamentally good written scenes, mostly because they have women writing women and directing women. And I'm kind of like, that's kind of how it should have been.
The one thing that the new season can have for going for itself that the old one didn't is not being as confusing, but I don't know if that's the case. I'm just saying the other one was so confusing that it's like, nah, Umar, I feel like you're already making noise. It's still confusing as all hell, isn't it? Yeah. See, I'm just not like, I'm kind of over the time frame of which, Game of Thrones is the thing I want to watch. So yeah, I'm kind of out. kind of.
Again, this wasn't me trying to get you to watch it. Just that I actually resonate with how you feel, and up until like 2 months ago, I would have been on the same page as you. I'll be like, "Yo, Darcy, we'll just wait until like the series is over, and if it's still good at the end of it, you and I will just binge together." But nah, I got suckered into it. Anyway, my like for me that was a highlight watching the House of the Dragon. Like 3 members of the crew accept the award very unexpectedly, and it was funny. But like you guys, I really like the Michelle Yeoh. I really like Ki Hu Huan. I loved Abbott Elementary, and I actually like I think it was you, Tactics, who brought this up regarding Eddie Murphy. Like, if things have been kind of like weird with him of late. Like, he hasn't really just been seeming like himself. But with the arrival of You People trailer and also the Golden Globe acceptance speech, kind of feels like he's back.
I hope so. I really do
Yeah.
hope so. But only time will tell. I heard during the after his what's it called acceptance speech when he went
Yeah.
backstage, he was saying that they had just finished wrapping on Beverly Hills Cop 4. So that's something I'm looking forward to. Hopefully that's good.
Oh,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
that is actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
I still have to watch Beverly Hills Cop 3.
I haven't watched these things in so long. I don't even remember which ones I have watched.
Mm.
I know I've seen the first one. I can guarantee you that much.
Yeah, me too.
Three,
But
I liked, but it's a far departure from 1 and 2. So it's definitely critically equally
and
bashed by everyone. Like, but I had an appreciation for it just because it's Eddie Murphy.
it's Eddie Murphy, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pleasurably guilty. I'm trying to flip
Yeah.
your guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to our next topic. So, if you've been listening to our podcast, you know that there, with the announcement of James Gunn and Peter Safran taking over DC Studios and basically cleaning slate and redoing everything, there has been a mild worry. Let's just say it's between the three of us about the Batman franchise. Not because Matt Reeves, I should say Matt Reeves, the Batman franchise. Mostly because it sounds like they're going to be doing a brand new Batman, because they're getting a new Batman, a brand new Superman, and so there was a lot of questions up until about yesterday and today, where there seems to be some hope on that front, predominantly because it's people were asking Matt Reeves for an update on the Batman. He says, "Well, I can't really give you an update aside from the fact that I'm working on it," and it's like, okay, that's good, because that means it's still alive. Also, it has been kind of like announced and reported that Peter Safran and James Gunn have spoken to Matt Reeves and a few times, and I think conversations are continuing about having the Batman franchise continue independently from James Gunn's DCU. Which, if I remember correctly, Tactics, you were saying that is kind of like an odd choice, because that would be confusing for people. And I think Darcy and I agreed with you, not to put words in your mouth, but nonetheless, like I will say that I do personally, I find this encouraging, because I don't want Matt Reeves' Batman to like be whisked away, especially when it is something that can be easily adaptable. However, I do want to hear what my bros have to think about this. So T, let's start with you, because I've quoted you quite a bit so far. What are you thinking about this supposed news right now about Matt Reeves and his Batman?
I mean, this is news. I thought that this was like already like established that James Gunn wasn't going to come in and wreck up shop for whatever Matt Reeves had established, because Matt Reeves was not connected to the DCU before, or the DCEU, excuse me, before the DCEU got dismantled. I thought he was just kind of doing his own thing, and then when James Gunn came in, I think that was one of the first things that he had specified, that he has no intentions of messing around with Matt Reeves' vision. And yeah,
What
you
he
were going to
said
say
was
something?
he has no intention of bringing in Matt Reeves' Batman into his DCU.
Yeah, but I remember him also saying that like Matt Reeves's Batman was also his, like he was gonna leave Matt to do his own thing, and he had free reign to kind of do whatever he wanted and like finish his run, at least do another movie kind of thing. That's at least that's the impression that I had. I didn't know it was like
We
he
didn't know
was
that
at
another movie
risk
was
of
being
being
made.
chopped. Well, okay, so because I didn't realize that, then it really doesn't affect me at all. Because I was under the impression that Matt Reeves wasn't on the chopping block. I thought that he was at least going to get at least at the very least get a second movie. The only question for me was he going to be able to fulfill a trilogy? Because I assume that when directors take on like superhero projects like this, they have the intention of at least doing a 3 movie run, right? So
Right.
I thought, with things being shaken up and getting revamped and whatnot, he might only be able to get off like one more movie before everything else kind of reboots. Because where my head was at was I assume that the DCU and James Gunn were going to start things off by introducing a new Superman, which is going to
Mhm.
take some time, and then after that, they're going to add maybe another member of the Justice League, and then introduce Batman. So it gives Matt Reeves enough time to at least get one more movie in before they completely reboot Batman. But apparently, that's not the case according to you. So it's all good in my books. In terms of it being confusing for people, yeah, I think it might be a little bit confusing if we have two Batmans from two different properties in the mix at the same time. So they might have to strategically handle this in a way where the new Batman would be reintroduced kind of right around the time when Matt Reeves is finishing up his final trilogy. And I think that that'd be okay because we don't necessarily need a Batman right away, in my opinion. And Batman right away in terms of like a DCU Batman. I mean,
Right. Darcy?
Oh, I am on my edge of my seat right now. Okay, I have so many thoughts. So one, Omar, I think you said that I thought it'd be confusing. Maybe at the time, I do not think so anymore. So one, I first off, I was gonna do like I can breathe, and then I choked. It's fucking amazing. I can breathe, not anymore. So one, I didn't want Matt Reeves' stuff to be touched. What I've heard so far is that Matt Reeves is still working on not just his movie, but his whole universe. He's still working on shows and whatnot. And
Penguin series.
yeah, and so what I've when in Saffron made the comment that too many Batman's confusing, I think what he really what they were trying to indicate was that like the plethora of things that are Batman was starting to get out of hand. But as I've thought about this more, I'm like, yeah, you people want to say, oh, we have one continuity. However, the way I'm thinking about this is that this, if they simplify it the way I think, they don't have to do attack. Instead, you have to wait for one Batman series to be done to bring the other one in, because this series right now, the way it's set up, is very it's not rated R, but it's very dark,
It's
right?
dark. Yeah.
This ain't the Batman that you'd be like, oh, hey, 5-year-old, like niece, nephew, kid, let's watch this Batman where the Joker's got his face mutilated and looks like he's gonna like eat your ear for lunch, right? Like that's not the one you bring him to. I think that what they can really do here is have essentially like two DC universes happening at the same time. You have the core universe, which will be, we'll see how, edgy it is, because I think that James Gunn will allow for some edginess, right? Especially since we've seen the Peacemaker. But I think he'll try to craft something that's more accessible, right? More fun. Some films, like Suicide Squad films in that universe, may still be rated R as all hell, but they'll still be like, like Guardians of the Galaxy kind of ones where it's accessible to everybody. And then I think he'll let Matt Reeves get a dark as hell kind of thing. that is completely like, it's tonally so different that people aren't going to be like, oh, why isn't, the Twilight Batman showing up in the middle of, this other thing? Well, because it's like, this is not the movie you go see with your kids. Like, it's just kind of like obvious. And what I've heard is that in the coming weeks, Matt Reeves is going to meet with James and Peter, and what it seems like is that James Gunn and Peter Safran have been focusing on what they need to build, and they've let Matt do what he needs to do, and what they're going to come together is to discuss their arcs. Right, so it's like, what is your Batman doing? What is our story doing? And do we have any places that or plans with shows and movies that in timing of things that would clash, that would be uncomfortable to the general audience, that they're too similar, right? At the same time, or do we have any storylines that literally could be a spoiler for the other one's storyline, even though they're not connected, just because we pulled the same source material, right? Kind of a thing. So I like that, because it's like, you can have these two things exist, and you could let the Batman universe even get to a point where it's like rated R, right? You could just be like, yep, this is just hardcore Batman, and it's just for the adults, and we don't need to make the big dollars, because hey, we have this other Batman that is making big dollars and is part of a bigger thing, and is like a different tone, and that's where we're making that happen. And now you have a lot of stuff happen at the same time, as long as you don't start going, and here's Batman number 3, right? Like, I think that's where, no, not that I don't want it to see it, but oh my gosh, Michael, what's his last name? Keaton. Yeah, thank you. I kept thinking Keegan. I'm like, that's not it.
The guy who plays Joker.
Actually, I just know a guy named Keegan I used to work with, so that's where I was coming in my head. But like Michael Keaton's Joker with is Ben Affleck still involved, and we have this other one. I think that's where what they were really getting at is like, it's not that we don't want to see Keaton one, but we still haven't seen that story. We don't know if it was like not as cut and dry, and it was leaving a lot of balls in the air of like where all the Batman in this universe, and that might have been the bigger problem that they were getting at. They're like, we have to clean this up. This is too much. What's happening here?
I see what you're saying. Actually, Darcy, I hope they do it the way you were describing, because that sounds awesome.
Yeah, I just like this idea of like, it's very noir. We know that, and it can get even grittier, right? Like,
yeah,
because the last one was what, PG-13? Was it? I forget the rating. Let me see. The Batman rating.
I would say 17 plus.
No, it's like, but what was the last one though? Like, what did they rate it?
No, that's what I'm saying. I would say like AA 17 plus, unless I'm wrong.
The Batman is rated. It was rated PG-13. Yeah.
Okay, well, damn.
So yeah, like if it was rated PG-13, which mostly means that they didn't show certain blood and certain things, what happens when you bring in, what's that pig guy that I keep talking about, and you don't hold back?
Professor Pig?
Yeah, Professor Pig. You bring Professor Pig in, and you don't hold back on what he does, right? And you make that rated R because you still have other stuff that DC's making bank on, so you don't have to worry as much, right? I think they could pull it off.
I'm of two minds on this too, because I do like that idea of having two Batmans, but having them tonally different. The only thing is though, is if you're gonna go all the way, and let's say that you make Matt Reeves' Batman rated R, and then you have the DCU Batman is like PG or PG-13 or whatever. Now you have them conflicting or competing against each other in terms of like movie ratings, because not everyone is going to be able to see a rated R film, and I think that's part of the reason why the Batman ended up being PG instead of rated R. Because when we first watched that trailer and they didn't establish the rating, we were all hoping that it was rated R, because we wanted them to take it to that level and go dark. And then but I think they strategically made it PG-13 so they could get more butts and seats, basically, right?
Yeah.
So now you have a DCU version where it's going to be, I'm assuming, not lighthearted in the sense where it's going to be super campy, but more kind of maybe a little bit even lighter than the Batman. So tonally it feels different. But now you're gonna have this thing where it's like one, certain people aren't gonna be able to watch one movie, so they only have the option of watching the DCU version. And then on top of that, now you have favoritism because it's like people are gonna be like, oh, I actually like this Batman and the way that he portrays it better. So I'm not really I'm gonna kind of pass on the other Batman, you know what I mean? Like so that's the only thing where I'd be a little concerned about if I for like, from a director's standpoint, not even so much as like a viewer. Like as a viewer, I'd love to see as many like bring on all the Batman. I don't care. Batman Beyond, Michael Keaton's Batman. I don't give a fuck. Give it to me all. Give all of it to me, right? But from a director's standpoint, it is a little bit risky.
I see. I have some feelings about that. Of course, I'm gonna have feelings about that. But the thing is like I'm not saying it has to be rated R, but really the rating R of a Batman universe is not about Batman. It's about the villains, right? Like
Right.
they're the ones that take it to the rated R. Being able to fully showcase the Joker, do what he does, and it not be like, oh, just turn away at that exact moment, right? Like really feel it.
Yeah.
But so on the idea that, we have this like separation of people like, oh, this is my favorite. People would have that if even with one Batman. So what do we have when we watch like Ben Affleck come in between those couple of films? We'll be like, oh, I really like this, but this isn't my Batman. I really like this, and this isn't my Batman. And then Matt Reeves' Batman comes in. Some of us are like, oh, I love this Batman. Some people are like, that is not Batman at all, right? And it kind of sides with like the version of Batman that they grew up with and stuck with them, right? Like, if someone's really expecting the animated series Batman and they go watch the Matt Reeves, well, they ain't getting that, right? And so they didn't particularly like that. If they were stuck hardcore, that it had to be like it's a very specific interpretation. I think that like when it comes to the way the Batman series already the first one is and what that sets up, one, when we saw the trailers, I don't think people are rushing out to bring their kids. And obviously some people bring their kids. Some people just make weird decisions. But when we now know what the first one is, people are not rushing to bring their kids. So I think people have to make this decision if they, or people who, would make the decision, I like one over the other, is the adults who are just going to like be like, which one do I like more if they are like very opinionated. But most people I think are just gonna like both of them. Is there an argument that the director of the other Batman is like, oh, people are gonna watch my film? I think honestly the universe that they're set up, unless the universe just sucks right out of the gate, people will be interested to see the Batman in that universe, and it allows that director the freedom a little bit to be like, I don't have to show certain aspects of Batman because there's another film you can go watch with those aspects of Batman. I can focus on this characterization, and I don't have to be as heavily detailed in like, say, noirish aspects or detective aspects, because you have another film and another universe that's going deep into that. And so as long as they strategically smart enough to make sure that they plan these things and they don't like they're both aware of what they're doing and they don't do anything that like upsets audiences as a whole, I think that it can like give you the kind of like whole Batman in a way, but through multiple experiences. And yet also at the same time, if people who want only one experience, they would have that one side that they could choose.
Well, to your point though, and to your first point about us having our favorite Batman, yeah, that's true. Like, if you ask a group of like Batman fanatics, that one person might say, "Oh, Michael Keaton is my Batman. I enjoyed all the other ones, but Michael Keaton's my guy, or Ben Affleck is my guy, or whatever." But the difference is that all of those movies, like Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, Christian Bale, all of them, they came out at different time periods, so they weren't exactly competing with each other in the moment, right? It was like only afterwards, right? Like every one of those movies had their own separate time to shine, and then there was a little bit of leeway before another movie was like created. So that's the only thing in terms of like a director's concern in terms of favoritism. But I agree with your second point. About how if let's say for example Matt Reeves wants to focus on a certain aspect of the character and doesn't want to have to go into the details of all the backstory and all the other extra fluff, whereas with the DCU they can kind of hone in on that. And if they strategically plan that out in a way where it's like, okay, I'm going to handle this storyline with these villains and you can handle the origin story and build Batman up this way, then I think that could work. I just think that there still would be a little bit of competition and favoritism in that regard. But again, for me, I want it all. I don't give a fuck.
Hmm.
I remember I was the one who said I wanted a Batman Beyond still. Like
Yeah.
even
Yep.
after DCU was dismantling, right? So
One thing I actually putting out here for what I want to see for the DCU Batman, and maybe we can all jump in on our opinions on this as well. So like I like the Matt Reeves Batman. I want that noir one. I like that very realistic thing, and his fighting style I like his fighting style. But you know what I want to see in the DCU this time? We've seen Ben Affleck be like a beast. We've seen Christian Bale be realistic. We've seen Michael Keaton and the ones that followed that were interpretations of the Michael Keaton one. Or they were more slow, right? It was fantastical universe, right? What I want to see next for the DCU Batman, I want to see a young, not bulky, slender Batman that is highly aerobatic and martial arts focused, because I feel like, yeah, thank you. I was struggling with that word. The thing is, I feel like I haven't got to see on screen is a Batman that can really move fast. And like when we watch some of the like really good comic versions, right? Like the animated films, we see some really good hand-to-hand combat that's like really awesome to watch. Like I don't know, the one when he fought Shredder, or like
or Under the Red Hood, or even when he was in facing off against the Suicide Squad in Arkham Assault on Arkham.
Or like a Court of Owls, even though like that series, like the New 52 style wasn't always the greatest, like some of the fighting in that was like fantastic. And so I really want to see like somebody who, like, getting an actor and stunt people, obviously, who can really move and show off like fast combat, instead of it being like, Ben Affleck, like hard hit, knock you out, where it's a little slower. Don't get me wrong, I love that warehouse scene. It's one of the best scenes ever. But I would love to see one that like jumps, moves, and you're like, holy crap, like this is intense to see.
It's actually funny that you said that, because John Campea on his show, they were doing they were doing like a top 5 people that they would love to see play Batman in the new DCU. And one of John's picks was Scott Adkins, and I know a lot of people have been campaigning for him to become the next Batman because he has the stunt and the martial art background. I think he's a little bit on the shorter side, but I think that aside, I think he's got the look. He obviously has the physicality. He's a little bit older, so that's a little problematic in terms of if they wanted to kind of do a trilogy type of thing. But I think, back in his prime, he would have been perfect as Batman. If considering that you want like that, if you want that martial art aspect and you want to see Batman in that kind of vein, then I think he would have been a perfect choice.
Not quite what I'm looking for. By the way, he's 5'10", so like he ain't no Batman. Like he's got martial arts, but I don't know how to say this without like it sounding a certain way, but like more close. Actually, no, I know a different way to say it. I want to see somebody who's closer to, when they fight, it feels more like Chinese martial art films, but not like in the
that's what I thought you were trying to say.
But like they move and people can hit hard and not be hugely muscular. And have you seen
have you seen Scott Adkins though? Like, have you seen his movie? Like he does
I've
a lot of B movies. Like
I've seen a lot. I know.
Yeah, like and he's got an appreciation, a vast appreciation for Chinese martial arts culture. So he's well versed in it, and that's why, aside from the height thing, I think that's why I think he would have made a perfect candidate.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm not. His height and age are the only reasons why I wouldn't want him to, at this point, because I want a younger character. I really just want the DCU to be a bunch of younger characters so that it grows into something. And it's not like the one thing I didn't like about Snyder's, I mean, there's many things we don't like. I get it, but there's one thing I really didn't like before we knew what it was. I was like, he chose Ben Affleck. I'm like, that's amazing, but you casting an older, already aging out Batman. So like, I'm gonna get invested in him, and then he's gonna be gone. Like it was like setting it up for him to leave. Ooh, these are nice.
Well, these are good.
Except for the Batista one. That needs some work.
Well, they need to show his face, otherwise it just would have been a mask.
Yeah, no, that's just like week 1 Photoshop.
But I mean, it's not far. I feel like Batista, if they were gonna do a Bane, I think because of Batista's close relationship with Gunn, I feel like he'd be first runner up for the role.
Oh yeah, I'm totally game for it. I'm just not loving this graphics design.
Yeah.
I see what you mean about the martial arts aspect, Darcy. And to be honest, yeah, because like I would say that has been like the thing that so Kevin Conroy has, like, as we've said, like he embodies Batman for me, and also like a lot of his dialogue is like spot on perfect, but also like his Batman and also the Batman in the animated movies has been significantly more capable in fighting, and I also will agree that Batman v Superman's fight with Batman in the warehouse scene, that was like, aside from like the massive amounts of murder he was doing, it was very accurate to Batman that we've imagined in our heads and also have seen in Batman Arkham Asylum. I'm trying to think of a Western martial arts film that has the fight sequences that I would want, because like a lot of people, when they think of like martial arts Western films, like the first thing that comes up is The Matrix, but like that Matrix was like purposely, like the martial arts in it was like purposely done to be non-realistic. But I would want like fast hand-to-hand combat with a guy in like with the Batman outfit, but it actually carry the weight of them too. And I'm just trying to remember if there was a film that did that. Can't remember it right now. Anyway.
What about The Raid?
Well, sorry?
The Raid.
That was the one that I just like thought of. That I would want that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I've never gotten the speed, and then you see some of the best animation, and you're like, that's. And like the one thing I liked in there's many things I liked in Zack Snyder's BVS, like not the whole thing, but like when we saw Ben Affleck in that corner actually looking like a bat, I was scared. Like that first time I saw that, I was like, holy crap, that was like a horror film. I want to see a little of that. I'm not saying like the DCU can have horror film-esque, but like we don't see Batman in the rafters enough, is what I'm getting at. Like we don't see enough of him like disappearing. I saw like a TikTok clip today that was just like one animated film, and it was like when Batman is actually like something like why he's feared, and it was like a clip of him holding like some villain, and he drops him, and there's another villain on the other side of this like fire, and he's holding this woman up, and he just walks through the fire, and you're like, man, his whole suit, like, you know, he just walked through it, and it's just like that imposing fear of this figure walking through his silhouette through this fire and coming to you. And I'm like, we don't get enough of like, and I'm sure we'll get more in Matt Reeves, but like the scariness or the imposingness or the stealth aspects, and the speed and stuff like that, that like, you know, sometimes he just kind of shows up in the scenes, and it's like, you know, I feel like, well, if this was this Batman I've seen, he wouldn't just like walk right up to him like that, you know? Like,
didn't Batman Begins kind of do that?
He had a bit of that for sure. He had like he came down, brought a couple guys up, boom, 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 in the beginning, and then, you know, as it progresses, like
it progressed. Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
I still like the one thing that really bothered me, and it took me a while. Like I liked the starting of the third Christopher Nolan film, Batman, Dark Knight Rises. But when they got to that like big final fight, I'm like, yeah, you can't have Batman fighting in daylight. It don't feel good. Like I was
actually thoroughly disappointed with the fights with Bane in that movie, like both of them.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. Like I liked a lot of Bane, but I didn't love their fight. I liked like one of my favorite scenes is like puts his hand on the shoulder, like you feel like you're in charge, and you're like, like wow.
And when he screams, you're like, oh, he did.
Yeah, like, but someone putting their open palm on your shoulder beside your head and saying, "Do you feel like you're in charge?" Like that man's gonna rip your throat out.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to our next topic. So, as everyone who knows me, but also has watched this our podcast, knows that I'm not a fan of horror movies, and so I will say that my bros have respected that to a certain degree, and have therefore chosen not to make me go see the latest horror movie that has been getting rave reviews, called Megan. Truth be told, I didn't even know this movie came out until after Tactics had told me about it. But nonetheless, the film, let's just say that my bros went and watched it, and I am interested to hear what they have to say. However, I am not interested to watch the film. Nonetheless, I will pass this on to Darcy. Let's start with you, man.
Your pass on sounded like you were already scared of the film. Like, it's like, take this from me. Take the review.
So Darcy, man, what did you think? What would you give Megan out of 10, and what do you think of the film overall?
5. Now we had a debate after the film or a conversation or whatever. That
this movie's been getting like in the 90s.
You see, so this is this thing for me. I'm in the tech world. So there are just things in that film that I'm just like griping over. Like at one point they're showing like the building of like this like robot that isn't Megan, it's like another one, and they're like take off this mask and they're like, oh yeah, it's an A17 bionic processor. I'm like, why do you just state you just took an Apple like iPhone processor, just stuck it in there like that, like it's just magic? For me, there are some very interesting ideas, and yet there are some like scenes for me. Like there's a scene that involves, and Tex is definitely gonna talk about this. There's a scene that involves a child that deservingly Megan takes care of. It's just
a bully.
Yeah. See, not even hard to figure out. like take the worst bully you've seen in any kids movie and just like amplify it. And this kid deservingly gets his ass handed to him, and that scene to me was scary, the way they set it up, the way it's like the first moment we're really gonna see Megan like do the thing, right? And then after that point, every other kill just like I wasn't interested. Like at one point they're having a kill of, I forget the guy's name, but he's like a Asian comedian who has like a strong thick accent, and he's from like Malaysia, and he's like famous, like he does a lot of he shows up on TikTok a lot, and he always talks about like he like always plays on like racism or whatever, and so he's in this film and he's playing like the asshole.
From oh god, what not Jon Stewart, but Trevor Noah's show?
Yeah. He's from Trevor.
Ronnie something.
Yeah. I don't know his name, but he's from one of those, like he was a correspondent on
so that Ronnie.
Yeah. So and he's funny. He's doing his job. Nothing discredited him. But there's a scene where he dies, right? Because it's a horror film. Everyone's gonna die. And they just like they play it so funny, and I'm just like, am I supposed to care that he dies? He's an asshole, and you make this whole scene a joke. Like it's just and it's that scene where she does the TikTok dance. Like it's just like I'm like, why am I supposed to be scared? Like I really wasn't.
TikTok dance?
she does like a whole dance before she goes down a hallway, and then she like chases him, and then it's just like a comedy thing. And I'm like, for me, like that checks me out of it being scary.
Okay, that would
and then
check me out too.
and there's a lot of like kills that you don't really see the kills, you don't see the brutality, so you're like, okay, I'm kind of checked out from that too. I don't know, for me it's just like there was only like one, maybe two moments that I felt scared this whole film. There was interesting ideas from the AI stuff that had scenes that I was interested in, but felt cheap to me because I feel like there's more and they weren't very accurate in certain things. Like this is me, like this is the tech in me, right? They'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, they're like going through her stuff, and they're like, oh, what's this line of code where she like includes like a phone number? And I'm like, nobody codes like that. Nobody just hard codes a single phone number into a function. And it's a log. It's not a. Anyways, this is me getting correct over. It's just like it's for me, there were moments. It's not as bad as this, but for me, there were moments like Disney Aladdin where I'm just like, nah, that ain't the outfit. Like, people don't wear that. Like, that's how I was feeling in moments. But aside from the like technology stuff, which I knew I was gonna have gripes with, it just wasn't thrilling for me, and it wasn't really that scary. And I was just kind of like, it's all right.
Okay.
It's cool. But I enjoyed being on a double date. That was the highlight. the people I was with, that made the night.
Cool.
What do you want to be you want to be the fifth wheel, Umar?
I have been the fifth wheel.
Umar, every time we're gonna invite you on fifth wheel, it's gonna be a horror film.
Let's see how bad you want to come to that.
Can I come to dinner at least?
No, you gotta commit to the whole thing, bro.
Damn it. All right, we'll talk about this off air. Yo, T, what do you think of this movie? Out of 10. And also generally.
So out of 10, I gave it initially I gave it a 5.5, and I still stand by that rating just because.
Yeah, you guys did not enjoy this film.
I mean, I don't want to go as far as saying I didn't enjoy it. But I went in with high expectations. I went in expecting to be scared because for anyone who knows me or ever, basically anyone who knows me knows that I have a thing like with dolls. I've had like this phobia of dolls ever since I was really little.
We
because
all have a thing about dolls.
No, but like my older sister played a really bad prank on me, like when I was younger, and it fucked me up for years. Where every day after school, I used to watch Batman '89, and it came in the little VH box or whatever, right? So at like following my basic routine, I would pop it in and then watch it, and it'd be good. But my older sister, was getting annoyed by that, and she switched the tape out. She went out and she rented Child's Play, and she switched the tape out, and she put the Child's Play cassette into the Batman box. And so me not really thinking, not paying attention, I took it out and I popped the VHS in, and she actually fast forwarded to a part where Chucky comes to life and starts murdering everyone, and I was traumatized. And ever since then, I've had like this phobia of dolls. I dated a girl who collected porcelain dolls, and it fucked me up and stuff. So yeah, it was a lot of trauma from back in the day.
Hold
right?
up. How? I mean, like, if I go over to the girl place and be like, "Yo, collect porcelain dolls," I'm gonna be like, "What?"
Oh, it was a short relationship, bro.
Yeah, it's like this is it. This is
yeah.
like.
I'm like, we fucking at my house. Like, I'm sorry, I ain't stepping foot in your bedroom. So
I honestly feel like I'd be like, check it out.
Yeah. So going into this, I was expecting to be scared, right? And there are creepy moments in the movie, but in terms of like the scare factor, I'd say it's as scary as the first Terminator movie was back in the day. Like if you were afraid of that movie, then yeah, this movie will probably
I'm not even afraid of that movie.
Then like you're probably gonna be okay with this movie because like Darcy was saying, the kills are off screen, so everything is it's implied. Um, and aside from like how she looks, like there really isn't like they really play up the comedy a little too much in this movie to make it seem to the point where you're kind of taken out of the moment, and it's like it loses its creep factor and it just becomes like a sci-fi thriller, if you will. So that was a little disappointing for me because I feel like I would have enjoyed this more if it was rated R and they were able to push the envelope a little bit more with the kills. But because of that factor, it just kind of took me out of it. And that Ronnie guy, like, I felt like he was miscast. I felt like he forgot that he was in a horror movie, and yeah, it just didn't work. So yeah,
he was like on a different season of Silicon Valley. Like he
yeah,
wasn't.
yeah.
Did you
So
get over your fear
yeah, I
of
mean,
dolls with this movie?
definitely, yeah, definitely. Because when I saw the trailer, I was like, "Yo, that looks." I can only watch this once. This girl looks creepy as fuck. But then after watching the movie, I'm like, "Yeah,
I
I'm
can
not
still
really
only see this
phased at
once
all."
because I don't want to see it again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not really phased by it. So
I mean, this movie is more creepy than it is scary.
Oh, the girl from Get Out.
yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's where I recognize her from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I made this movie's Karma. Um She's the same universe. This is like a different moment for her. No, it's totally different person. Yeah, I feel like this is trying to, here's the thing. Like you're gonna take Chucky, you're gonna be like, oh, let's make it new. Okay, AI, that makes total sense. I'm down with that. Okay, let's say I ignore some of the things I dislike about the technology part of this. It's still they lost that 80s, 90s like way of doing things. Like, why hasn't somebody just literally tried to make like an 80s, 90s horror film? Like take the same kind of beats and study what about it, lighting and whatever that made this stuff good, and try to do something similar, and then just tell a new story. Like I don't know, like I just feel like you take the beats of some of these things, they don't have to be, oh, it has to be the 90s for a guy with a machete to walk through a forest and kill kids in a cabin. Like other than like us have seen it before, you know. We just want to see your
Umar looks
reaction.
so no, because I was trying to test to see if he was actually looking at the photo, and you're not, aren't you?
I was just kind of like, yeah, like this is messed up.
Yeah, I just feel like they just, I don't know. It's like, are all these horror film people not like, at least these popular ones that show up, not the ones that like only show up on Blumhouse and that we don't even know about it, or not Blumhouse, they're made by Blumhouse, but they show up on, I forget what it is, Shudder, like like the Netflix of like horror films, like other than the small budget ones we never hear of, like all these big budget ones, like how is none of them just taking the notes from the classics and not necessarily tell the same stories, but like take the beats and tell a different story, but remember those beats and freak us out? Because I'm like, it was creepy and at times interesting, but not really scary.
I agree, but I feel like we've become so desensitized that like now horror movies feel like they have to up the ante in terms of like how grotesque it is or how cult like they end up being, where it's like those typical like back in the day slasher films or like the Chucky doll movies, like they're not really, I don't know, they don't have the same, they've lost their spunk. Like if you were to do something like that now, I don't know how receptive horror fans would be, considering that we have like movies like The Conjuring and like Insidious and even Hereditary, where like these movies are like really like those movies like freak the fuck out of me, and it's like new age horror compared to like the 90s version, right? But they've tried to do like remakes like the Freddy Krueger movies and the Jason movies, and they just don't, like, I agree with you, Darcy. They don't really deliver on the same level, and I don't know if it's because people are more desensitized. I feel like that's the case, but could be something else. I don't know.
I feel. Oh, sorry, Umar, you have a point there.
I was just going to bring up what Ron R was saying, kind of like going along with what you're talking about tactics. Where Ron R is saying like it's a lot of the film angles that made those scary movies for me back in the day. Left a lot to our own imagination, which made it scarier.
Mm-hmm.
To that exact point, like I feel like, and I use this as an example a lot. Descent was like this film that like my partner and I watched on like Netflix, and it was a low budget film where they filmed in a cave, literally, and they had basically just a camera and no lighting, so it was super dark. You couldn't see anything, and they had these like creatures that lived in this cave in the dark that like had different skin than us and would eat anything that came by. And what made it scary was the fact you couldn't see anything. Like you're watching a film and you're looking at your screen and it'd be like just a sliver down the center of light. And you're like, but you can hear things. And so you're freaked out because you can't see anything. And then when something happened, wow, this film's amazing. Studio comes in, puts big budget. What do they do for the second film? They light it. I'm like, the whole reason this is scary is because you can't see anything. And what you think to do is get cameras and lighting gear that makes it so you can see it better. Like I think they focus too much on like common movie aesthetics and don't realize like movies. Remember back when we all went to watch what was it, Babadook,
Yeah.
right? Umar clearly wasn't there for that event.
No.
Right? And you have this scary film where you have this phrase being said. It's like Babadook, right? And you hear this eerie sound and it's freaking you out. And it's like you gotta lean into something that is scary, not just like make a regular film and try to add scary elements into it.
So, Darcy, what you were talking about Descent, like the first one, and being in the dark and stuff. I was forced, like my best friend Jimmy, one of my best friends Jimmy, because you guys are also my best friends. He forces me to certain horror films because he's like, they're not actually scary, so you can man up and watch it with me. One of them being Doctor Sleep, another one being Cabin in the Woods, and one which he really had to be like, dude, seriously, come and watch this movie with me, was I Am Legend. So
I Am Legend?
Yeah. So I thought it was a scary movie, so I was like, I'm not gonna go watch it. And he's like, no, you're coming with me. So for the first part of the movie, I'm like, oh, okay, I clearly misinterpreted what this film was about. And then he chases after his dog and goes into the bank in the dark, and he's like doing this, trying to find his dog. I was terrified during that entire experience, but that was the only time I was scared in the entire film. Like the rest of it, I was fine with, but I was just like, sitting like there, like I was like. And the worst part was when he drops his hand and like lets the flashlight, and you just see like them all huddled around in the corner, and I was like, well, I just shat my pants.
Yep. Like it's just.
You are so going to make fun of me right now, aren't you? I could see like the smile on your face, but like he was scared of I Am Legend.
I thought I misheard you. I was like, what?
You guys are talking about Babadook and Chucky. I'm like, I'm scared of I Am Legend. What?
Yeah, we over here like Umar. Question, serious question right now, Umar. Real. I'm gonna look into the camera. Okay, real question. Real talk.
Okay.
Did you back in the day watch YTV's Goosebumps? And did
or
you?
Are
get
you
scared?
afraid of the dark?
Yeah. You're on the mic.
I watched none of those.
Oh!
Wait, what? Wow, bro.
Yo, this guy is on lightweight.
Why would I get scared as a pastime?
Bro, that breaks you in. That's the reason why as an adult you're so afraid of horror movies, man.
Yeah, they weren't like Goosebumps was like they're like, oh, it's gonna be scary, but then it always just turns out to not be at the end. Like it's like oh, and then it was just this kid that you misinterpreted wearing this thing through a window. Like it's just like it just always turns out to not be like that big of a deal.
But Are
I'm
You Afraid
good.
of the
I don't
Dark
need it.
though had some like scary episodes though, more so than Goosebumps, I think. Like their stories were deep and solid in comparison to Goosebumps. Goosebumps had more of like a campiness to it, whereas like Are You Afraid of the Dark, I feel like they were like pulling from like urban legends or like modifying urban legends to fit their child neighbor narrative, basically.
I'm good.
By the way, Umar, Courtney sends you some love for your fear of the Goosebumps.
Did you see her first comment?
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Courtney says, "I Am Legend was scary. I got you, Umar. LOL." So
I didn't read
the
that.
support.
Defamation of character.
All right.
By the way, Umar, I am sending you Goosebump clips after this.
So I'm not watching
And I'm
them.
sending you Are You Afraid of the Dark?
I
They're
won't
not
watch
even
those
that
either.
hard. They're kids things. They're
I
scary
know.
for 6-year-olds.
I'm more not going to watch it because they'll probably not age well. But anyway, moving on to our final topic. So I was asked by the illustrious Tactics.
Oh wait, sorry.
A very
Before we
interesting-
move on, hold on. Sorry. Before we move on, I just gotta I gotta show this photo. Hold on.
Oh,
I totally forgot I had that in there, yo.
Oh, the one on the right's better.
that was
Vegan.
Oh man.
Okay, well, continuing. Anyway, so Tactics put in our group chat a very interesting question, which I decided that it would make a very good topic for us to discuss. And it was let me get it specifically. List your top 3 films you can't own or won't ever watch again. Now, be fascinating, and I have a list of top 3 films that are good that I won't ever watch again, won't or can't watch again. But if we want to talk about bad movies, I also have a list for that too. But I'm gonna go first in case you guys need a little bit of time to get your numbers down. So
Yeah, you switched the rules on us, man. So I need a little bit more time, guy.
That's fine.
So go ahead.
Which is why I'm going first.
Go ahead.
So in terms of the top 3 films you can't or won't ever watch again, I've chosen to do good films. And the 3 films that I have watched, but and liked, but won't watch again. The first one is Requiem for a Dream. That movie was really good, really dark, and extremely disturbing. And like, damn, that ending just makes me so sad on so many different levels. But yeah, so that's the first on my list. Like, it's a heavy film. Don't really see myself watching it again, but still like would rave about it. The next one on my list would be oh my god, before I forget. Sorry. It is Seven, the movie Seven. That movie was good, but I don't need to see a lot of that stuff again. I'm like, I could definitely skip a lot of that, especially certain scenes. So yeah, like again, a really good film. Enjoy history in the back of my mind. And the third one that was really good, that is Schindler's List. To be fair, I watched that really young, so that mildly traumatized me. I think I was like 8 or 9 when I watched that on TV with my parents. Yeah, there was a lot of inhumanity at a very young age that I kind of had to get accustomed to, and so yeah, that really messed me up. So those are the top 3 like good films that I wouldn't or want to watch again. The top 3 bad films. This is going to be a quick one. I'm just going to shoot those out, and I don't see anyone disagreeing with me. Number 1, Cats. Some bullshit. Number 2, Morbius. Even more bullshit. And number 3, Independence Day 2. So yeah, those are my 2. Those are my 2 lists. What did you guys get? Tactics, let's start with you this
time. Okay, so I'll give you my good list. I only have 2
Cool.
so far. So my first one is Blue Valentine. I saw that,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
good movie, but sad all the way through, like majority of the way through. And the ending just completely obliterated my soul to the point where I'm like, yeah, I never want to see this movie again because it's so real and
It proved that love did not
visceral.
exist.
Yeah, and it's like I don't like that feeling because I'm like,
Nope.
I,
Did not like it
I'm a
either.
I'm a hopeless romantic, so I want to hold on to like that little ounce of love. And yeah, this movie just completely just like if you're a young dude watching that movie, you're gonna be jaded for life. You're gonna be like, yeah, fuck love, man. I'm
Dude,
gonna just be out here making this money in these streets and shit. So
if you got a
that
divorce,
movie,
do not watch that film.
yeah, that movie was heavy. Speaking of heavy, my next one is The Butterfly Effect. Um, that is another movie, very dark film. Uh, it's like it's pretty much the personification of misery and sorrow, like in story format. Like it literally there's no I can't recall one happy moment in that movie, and of course it's another one of those like really super sad endings, and there's 2 endings actually.
Mhm.
I'm going to spoil both of them for those of you who haven't seen it. But in the original theatrical ending, basically, well, you kind of have to know the storyline, but
Right.
basically, it deals with like time, and this guy, he's Ashton Kutcher's character is he basically has like post traumatic stress from uh, basically like a lot of things that have happened in his a lot of traumatic experiences that have happened in his childhood, and as an adult being in college he undergoes like therapy, and he's been journaling all of these traumatic experiences throughout his childhood leading up to his adulthood. And one day he's reading one of his entries and he realizes that by doing that he can travel back in time and rewrite history and change the path that from his childhood and alter the timeline basically, right? But every time he changes something, it's pretty much like the butterfly effect where you make one small change and it has a dramatic effect on your future. And so basically his whole thing is trying to end up with his childhood sweetheart in the end, but every time he tries to make these changes, something gets fucked up or some other person's life gets fucked up. And so at the end, he realizes that through all these trials and errors, he can't seem to get it right. So he just decides to like go back in time and basically like insult his childhood lover as a kid. So that way they never become friends. They never have any interactions. She lives her life. He lives his life. And at the end, they're like now adults and stuff. They haven't seen each other since that moment. And then they're like they're walking in like a crowded area and they walk past each other and they have like a moment where they're like, do I know you? And then they just keep on walking and then the movie ends.
Right.
And then the alternate ending is basically he realizes that through trial and error, he can't change anything. So he goes back in time to when he's like in his mom's womb about to be born, and he takes the umbilical cord, wraps it around himself, and he strangles himself to death and dies.
I can see why that didn't make it to the theater.
Yeah. So so like it's a very heavy movie, and yeah, good movie. I really enjoyed it. It's just like, you know, we always talk about like you need like a palate cleanser after that. Like you definitely need like a really good, like you need to watch Barney and Friends after that movie because it's
That's not
super
like
heavy.
let's have a movie marathon sort of suggestion. That's like
Yeah.
that's okay.
So yeah. So I'm good if I never watch that movie again. But those are my good. That's my good list. My bad list, short and sweet. Sausage Party, terrible film. I'll never watch that movie again. I hated it.
I wasn't a fan
Spit
either.
on Spit on Your Grave. It's a horror movie that my ex forced me to watch. It's got
Is that the rape movie?
yeah, and I don't do well with rape.
How do
And
I?
yeah, it just
Oh.
yeah. So it was like yeah. I'm not even gonna go into it. It just I never want to see that movie again. And then Fast Nine. Fast Nine. I feel like that's self-explanatory.
Yeah.
But yeah,
All
that's my
right,
list.
Darcy.
All right, so I'll go through good movies first. I only have two as well, two very different films from Tactics. First up is 12 Years a Slave. Obviously,
You
obviously a
guys
great.
made me watch that again.
I've only seen it once. It's just a movie I don't need to see again.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing film, very heavy. And
You think?
not exact, like to the point that like Will Smith's new movie came out. I did not watch it because it's Will Smith. I just don't really want to watch slave movies right now. Like it's probably gonna be a few years before I'm like, or someone suckering me in for a reason. And second up, which you'll see there's a pattern here, Fruitville Station. Absolutely phenomenal film. But very similar, not instead of slavery, but it's racism and it's very current. And as much as like it's an amazingly done film, it's so it is real. They're both about real stories, and it's so much that I'm like, it makes me feel so bad, right? And so rightfully so.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm not really like wanting to watch them over and over again. And then for my bad films that I have no desire to watch again, let's start with John Henry. That film was atrocious. that looked like it was going to be a hell of a lot of fun, and I literally watched that film going, do they know how to make films? Like there was that one scene.
There was literally that one scene.
He was like
in the car. The human centipede conversation, yo.
That was the best part of the film. But that wasn't even what I was referring to. I was referring to when there was a moment where like John Henry and I think it was Ludacris's character were in the house, and they just didn't do any edits. You know, when we in film was like, why are they doing like 19 edits in this like 45-second clip? It's jarring. And this one, I'm like, yo, I literally was counting the amount of places I would have edited the scene. Like, cut here, skip to this. Why are we just standing around? Like I literally went into my analytical brain, which is thinking like, I'm gaining nothing from this. Why are we still seeing this? Like, move on to new information. So yeah, John Henry. Justice League, the Joss Whedon cut. F that movie. I've been pissed ever since it came out. And then I
will never forget. Sorry to interrupt. I will never forget Tactics. Right after that movie came out, like it was me, him, and our friend Matt. And Matt's a big Superman fan. We're walking out of the theater, and Tactics is like shaking his head. I'm like, oh, thank God he didn't like it. And he's like, they did my man dirty. And Matt's like, it was pretty bad. He's like, oh, whatever. He did your man good.
Fair. I mean, the film as a whole. And
Yeah.
again, another example of overlighting scenes, like when Batman's on that rooftop and it's like way too lit. And I'm like, oh, it looks like a comic book, but it doesn't look good. Yeah, so yeah, Justice League, Joss Whedon cut. And then my last one is going to be a two-parter in that it is both Fast 9 and 10, even though it hasn't come out. Because I'm so checked out at this point. I originally put down Fast 10 thinking that was the movie. And they're like, no, guys, that's Fast 9. I'm like, oh, well, both of them.
Wait, hold on. So you don't have a third good movie that you don't want to see again?
No, I feel like there's something out there, but I can't.
Probably another slavery film.
Definitely, probably another slavery film. But I feel like there was something else that like really messed me. But like I was listening to you guys, and I'm like, no, I can watch 7 again. Like I'm not gonna run out of my way to watch it, but I could watch it again. I still haven't seen Requiem of a Dream, and I'm not exactly running out of my way to go watch it.
Yeah, like it's like you get to it when you get to it. But that movie's heavy.
Yeah,
I haven't seen like I know you guys are gonna freak out about this. I haven't seen American History X, mostly because everyone talks about like how incredibly like intense that movie is, and like whenever like I have the opportunity, I'm like, I don't really feel intent like for an intense film right now, but I do want to watch it. But yeah.
I don't know if I've seen it. I think I've seen clips from it, but I don't. There's a lot of stuff like when I was younger that I just ended up seeing because my parents were like, "Oh, we don't want anyone," you know. So like, there's just a lot of stuff I didn't see, and then other people are like, "I've seen it." Like I haven't seen Pulp Fiction, you know. I know, I've just never seen it. Umar, I guess at some point he's gonna make me watch it, which is not a bad thing because I hear.
No, like I'm happy because like T, you've seen Pulp Fiction, right?
No, I haven't actually.
Okay,
I've seen like bits and pieces of it, like all like
yeah.
I've seen the parts that a lot of people reference in TV shows, but I haven't seen it in its entirety.
Yo, if I can see you guys have like watch Pulp Fiction like straight through for the first time, that would be amazing.
Well, I guess that's next bro night.
Yeah.
But then the thing is though, like, is it one of those situations like for me, like when I watched Top Gun like a couple months ago, it didn't hit me the way I imagine it would hit somebody who was watching it when it first came out. You know what I mean? So is it
Yeah, I
gonna
would
be
say,
like on that?
because also you've seen more Tarantino films since then, and like
Yeah.
so there is a certain element of like things that, like, but still like it's still a good film. I would be surprised if you didn't say you enjoyed it. I would agree that at this stage you wouldn't be like wow, but
Yeah.
like at the same time, I expect you guys will enjoy it.
Like I watched The Wire like I don't know 14 years after it came out. For whatever reason I just decided to watch it. And it was fantastic. The problem was is that I had seen the entirety of The Wire without watching it because every cop and drug type show had referenced it because it was the OG. So by the time I watched it I'm like I could predict the whole show as it was happening because everybody else has done their tricks and they were the first to do it. So I definitely lost some of that buzz because like, you know, I didn't get to see any of those things like originally.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. Well, to all of our audience members, please leave a comment of your top three, either movies that you can't see again that were good, or movies that you can't see again because they just sucked. But nonetheless, we're going to volley it back to Tactics for our closing statements.
All right, guys. Well, this has been another edition of the Geeky Bros podcast. We want to thank you so much for tuning in wherever you are. Be sure to check us out next Friday, same time, and we'll see you guys then. So until then, I'm your boy Tactics.
It's just Darcy.
And this is Big Geek Kumar. Live long and prosper, y'all. Please like and subscribe.
Ba-ba-doo.